Hey everybody, Sawyer189 here. I know I haven't done any top 5 lists in a while, so I'm here to remedy that little problem with a top 5 Batman villains list. So for this list, basically these are going to be primarily Batman villains. I mean, all villains these days have crossed over to other character storylines at some point, but these are going to be villains that are primarily known as Batman villains. That means no characters like Deadshot or Deathstroke are going to be on this list because they, even though they are Batman villains, especially Deadshot being a Batman villain originally, they have moved over and have migrated and are not really, they're more of everybody villain. So I'm not going to include villains such as that. I'm also not going to any villains from any Elseworlds or future storylines or anything that's not in the main DC continuity. So there's that too. Also wanted to put a nice big disclaimer here that Joker and Harley Quinn are not going to be on this list, so don't go freaking out if whenever they're not on this list. This is a personal opinion list. This is my favorite list, and honestly, I'm not a huge Joker Harley Quinn fan. They are. I understand why they're so huge, and I appreciate their characters, and they have contributed some of the most iconic storylines in Batman's history. And Batman wouldn't be Batman without the Joker, and especially today, or Harley Quinn. But they're just not villains that like scream out. It's never really been either one of them. Never really been my favorites or characters that sell a book for me. Like if Joker came out with his own book, which he has before, I wouldn't buy it because I'm just not a huge Joker fan. So just wanted to throw that disclaimer out because I know there's a lot of you guys that would put these two right at the top of your list, and they're not going to be anywhere on my list. I just wanted to throw that out there. Yeah, I call it the hipster in me, but I just don't usually. I don't usually go for the biggest, most mainstream villains or heroes of a story or character. So first off, at number 5, we have Victor Zsasz, or most commonly known as Mr. Zsasz in the comic books. I just like this. I really like this character because he's so realistic. He's the most realistic Batman villain there pretty much is. You could totally see this guy being on the headlines of the news. Just a crazy serial killer dude that like cuts himself every time he kills somebody. He's covered in the scars of his victims, and marking them off the list. There's just something very romantic, very brutal, and very real about this villain that just makes me really like him and really can, it's just interesting because Batman is a kind of a character that you could totally see in real life to a certain extent. So it's nice to see that not all his villains are these crazy, over-the-top, eccentric villains that would probably never be in real life. Number 4 is Maximilian Zeus, or Maxi. I love this character. I just love the concept of this character. I love it's this really rich, eccentric crime boss guy that basically thinks he's Zeus. He literally thinks he's Zeus. He has a penthouse that he basically refers to as Mount Olympus. He has it decked out with all kinds of booby traps and themes, things that are associated with ancient, Greece. And he's got, it's just crazy. He's got like a maze in there. He's got a minotaur monster robot thing in there in some versions. He's just a very creative, interesting villain that you can have a lot of fun with. I feel like as a writer, this would be a really fun character to write stories with or use as a villain for Batman. Because he's kind of really over the top and really fun. He's like the total opposite of the last villain. Where Mr. Zsasz is more of a realistic villain, this guy is the classic example of a comic book over the top mastermind type of villain, and that's why I like him. Number 3 is Clayface. So Batman has no shortage of tragic villains, villains that you kind of feel bad for, you can kind of relate to. Clayface is one of those villains. He's also a very creative villain, and has a very powerful power set that makes visually for some crazy Avengers and stories and very unpredictable stories because he can always turn into whatever he wants. He can always slide away, and just the art design, he's an amazing looking character. Ever since the Batman the Animated Series, when they really revamped his whole style, and now it's been adapted into the comic books over the years, he just looks great. He's a great looking villain, menacing looking villain. He has an interesting background as being an actor, and that kind of fits into his psychology of his character. For him, always changing all the time and never really being able to be who he wants to be or who he really is, because he's played all these different characters and they all kind of get caught up in his. After he gets hurt, he kind of all get caught up inside of himself. So he really is the man of a million faces. He really is a Clayface. It's a really interesting character. Alright, at number 2 we have Scarecrow, the master of fear himself. I love Scarecrow. I love villains that use confusion, fear, and other psychological kind of conditions as their weapons of war. I just love villains like that. I love it. It really shows a certain level of ingenuity and craftiness. When you don't even have to lay a finger to defeat someone, you can just make them so scared they jump off a building and kill themselves. That's what's so crazy about Scarecrow, is he really plays on your fears, and everybody has some kind of irrational fear of something, and as soon as Scarecrow comes at you, he's gonna find it and he's gonna export it against you, and that's what's great about the character. He really is, and the costume design is great. A classic Scarecrow costume. Menacing, creepy. There's just something unsettling about the way he comes at you most of the time, and there's something really to say about a character that can make Batman just shiver in his boots, whether it be chemical induced or just his own actual tactics of being a psychologist and whatnot. I really like this character. I just enjoy characters like this that are more brains than bronze. And then for number one, we have, DC's original eco-terrorist, Rashad Ghul, or Rashad Ghul, however you want to say it. He is a great villain. I love this villain. He just has so much going for him, guys. Like he's really smart. He's incredibly clever. He's very resourceful. He has tons of resources and money at his disposal. Tons of followers. He's also very powerful. He's also very physically challenging. He's a martial artist. He's a sword master. I mean, he's got his own like private league of assassins, and I think probably his most powerful tool is that he has the power of followers, of being a very charismatic person that these people want to follow, that they follow to death, and I really like that. It's a very interesting concept. He's this villain that really doesn't regard humans that well. He's all about saving the planet and saving the legacy of what we were supposed to be. I love. There's so many concepts with this character that are so well done. And then you gotta love his relationship with Batman. He knows who Batman is. Ever since the first time he's appeared, he's known who Batman is. But he never uses it really to try to kill Batman. He doesn't want to kill Batman. He sees Batman as a heir, as a follower, as a partner. But Batman, of course, doesn't want that. And I just love that dynamic that he respects Batman because Batman is the only person that he feels is even close to as cunning and as brutal as he is. You can very easily see that Ra's al Ghul is what Batman could be if Batman had a more ruthless, way of wanting to do his mission quota. And also, if Batman wasn't such a loner, you could totally see Batman becoming Ra's al Ghul. You could see him being this leader of a powerful military type of soldiers or assassins. You see a lot of similarities between the characters, but at the same time, there's so many differences. It's just really good. And then I love the whole old style, the traditionalist aspect Ra's al Ghul has, and the idea that he's ancient, he's very old, he has very old ideals, and that he totally wants, Batman to marry his daughter and carry on his legacy. He wants to live vicariously through Batman as the years go on, and it's just a really interesting character that has so many layers, and he's so fascinating and just usually very well betrayed whenever he's on film. Alright guys, so that concludes my list of top 5 Batman villains. So when I put this video out will most likely be early in the morning on Good Friday. So I just want to go ahead and let you guys know that I appreciate all your views and that you have a good Happy Friday, a good Easter weekend, Easter Sunday. Over here in Louisiana, we have a lot of people have the tradition of eating crawfish during the Easter weekend. So I'm probably gonna be doing that hopefully because the crawfish is amazing. But for other people that in other areas, have a good barbecue, or whatever kind of food you guys usually partake in, or festivities you guys partake in. Have a good Easter, guys, and see you guys later.